So what were some of the ways that the pandemic had a positive and negative effects on your own mental health?
For me, I mean, kind of echoing what like Samina was talking about a little bit before, like the pressure of the Bay Area and all of that, and being at um, kind of a school that demands a lot out of you. Before the pandemic, I had never really like made time for my mental health. Um, so with a pandemic and suddenly having like all this time to do nothing but like sit in my room and think about like how I was feeling, it was really overwhelming for me. Um, but I think ultimately it kind of gave way to me recognizing that like the lifestyle I was leading was not a sustainable lifestyle. The kind of like constant push of like, having such a busy life and being so constantly like bombarded by expectations and things to do and assignments and deadlines and stuff. And um, having all of that removed kind of like allowed me to see what was going on underneath. And so for me, the pandemic has really been, I've taken it as kind of an opportunity to address some of the things that I never really had time for before. Um, so, luckily, I mean, I have the resources to do that, but I, started seeing a psychiatrist and I got on medications and kind of started that process of recovery um, that I was always pushing off before. And so it's been extremely difficult and, at times overwhelming and really painful to have to confront to myself that I was not as healthy as I thought I was. But in general, I think it has been kind of a good wake up call that, you can't distract yourself forever from what you're really feeling.
I consider myself a very independent person. I love my friends, but really enjoy like the time that I have to myself to like recharge and stuff like that. So when quarantine first hit back in March, um, I was kind of happy to have that time alone. I was really burnt out by school and stuff like that. So that first month or two was really just nice for me. And then after that, when I realized that it's going to last a lot longer than 1 or 2 months, it started to get really hard. I wasn't seeing my friends anymore. It was just really isolating. And for me personally, it's really hard for me to reach out to others to both ask for help, but also just like admit how I'm feeling. I'm not very good at talking about how I truly feel. So that was really hard because I think that when you're in person and you're seeing other people and you're seeing your friends, you can tell how they're feeling by just how they talk and how kind of they're holding themselves. You can see if someone's upset or not. And online, you can't do that. Through social media, you can't do that. So that was really hard. Um, and it took only like a few months ago did I actually start like reaching out to other people and saying like I'm not doing okay. Like, can we check in? Can I talk to you about how I'm feeling? So I would say that really helped me. Just it's hard to take the first step, but it's also sometimes it's always good to take the first step and to admit both to yourself how you're feeling, but also admit to the people that you care about and your friends and adults how you're feeling so that you can talk it through.
Yeah, I think when quarantine first hit in March, I was also a bit relieved because I was overwhelmed and I was going through stuff that I don't know, it was really hard for me and I didn't know how to deal with it, especially being in school and having, so much to do outside of school, just being overwhelmed. And I think what quarantine taught me is that so the first month or two I was kind of relieved. I'm like, I can catch up, I can kind of think about me and like do things that would help me. But I think after the first month, I really began to decline and thinking like, when will this end? I can't see anyone. I feel like I'm trapped. I'm trapped in this house. And I wasn't like uncomfortable, but it just felt like I was stuck. And there was nothing to do about it. You couldn't go out. You couldn't see anyone. It would just felt like there was nothing to do, and there was nothing to do. But I think what I learned from this is that yeah, like I'm not invincible. Like I can't just lie about how I'm feeling to myself and be like I'm fine, and push it down until I'm not fine because I don't want to get there again. I don't want to get to a place where I'm not fine like so badly that I can't tell anyone how I'm feeling. So I just kind of what I do now is I kind of like express how I'm feeling to myself. I'm like, if you don't feel well or you feel this, like you have to ask for help. And it's really hard. Like Mira said, the first step is the hardest, but it also is the most beneficial. And it can really do so much for someone to just say, I need help and reach out. And it is really hard, but I mean, we have to do it. Like, I mean, we all need help. It's not just like me who is struggling with this needs help. We all need help at some point, whether it's for mental health or it's for academics or it's something. It's just a good like thing to a habit to get into, is asking for help, because it's really helpful.
I can share after that. It's kind of mine's again like similar to what everyone else has been saying, but I think before March, I felt like I was on autopilot, just like school, sports, sleeps, homework, school, just every single day. And I felt like there wasn't really like I felt very robotic. Like I didn't feel like a person, if that makes sense. And so I think when the quarantine hit, um, I slowed down and I thought to myself, like, what do I like to do? What gives me purpose? What makes me feel like a person, like what gives me that like lively energy? And so that's not to say that it hasn't been a hard year. Like obviously it is really hard to stay isolated. Um, I don't know, stay connected to loved ones. That is very difficult. But I think for me, like it allowed me to slow down and focus on what I'm really passionate about. So I'm really grateful for that.